window popped out on a separate window. There you go. Started the stream. Check Chuffy Chuffy 1 2. You can hear me on the stream. Check Chuffy Chuffy 1 2. You can hear me on the stream. You can hear me on the stream. Check Chuffy Chuffy 1 2. You can hear me on the stream. You can hear me. Turn that off. Now, there might be. I can't get into joking and messing about until we've done the first bit. So let's do some bits first. There might be an issue this week with you knowing what the time is, because they changed the time officially in the UK this week. We officially changed it. We set the clocks back, but I didn't let you know that was going to happen. I didn't know it was going to happen until this week. I didn't let you know it was going to happen, so you might not know that now is 8 PM GMT. You might have thought an hour ago was, and you might have been like, oh, where's Scotty Hotty? He's not even here. He's not doing it this week, so you might not turn up. That's on me. That's my fault. I should have been prepared. I should have known about the clocks going back. I should have known. But I'll just wait a few more minutes, give you a few minutes to come into the room, see if you're gonna, and then I'll do my thing. It might be easier if no one comes. It might be easier. I've got to do a sad thing before we get into anything quirky and serious. So that's what's going to happen this week. This week is Mental Health Monday. Look, there's Mental Health Monday. I'm Ganjikidd. That's our YouTube channel. You can get it all there. When I say you can get it all there, there's other channels. Look, Ganjikidd Warrior Media. They're there. They're there. They're there. They are there. The art chat, the Ganji cuts, the raw uploads of what we do on stream. Been a bit light this week. I'll tell you why in a minute. Not been streaming this week. I'll tell you why in a minute. That's Mental Health Monday. That's what we're doing today now, live on stream. But I edit it into little bits and bigger bits, and it goes live on the internet every Monday, 8 PM GMT. Just like, well, that doesn't go live at 8 PM GMT. We do, and then we edit it, and it goes there every Monday. So there's a bit more of that. We look at all these videos. Lots of videos there, all sharing the same theme: mental health support and education, I guess. Learning about, talking about, thinking about mental health as a general concept, but improving our own mental health and how to help other people. So that's Mental Health Monday. That's what we do every Monday, 8 PM GMT. That's why I'm here. That's why we're here. Getting this out of the way now. Got 2 more minutes before we're officially into it. Ganjikidd, that's who I am. I stream apparently every day, but this week and last week, not every day. This week, not every day. This week coming up every day. Well, every other day. We'll try the YouTube thing again. I don't know. That's what we do. But we also edit that into different things, different channels. Ganji Cuts, Ganjikidd Art Chat. Mental Health Monday, you're watching it now. So that's like the media thing, isn't it? This is the VODs. They call them VODs, video on demand. The videos, the full-length streams, unedited, raw. You can just drop in there and watch them. All of them, forever. All of them that have ever existed. In one long... If you go to videos, there are chuffing loads of them now. Some of them are pretty cool. Even the old ones, trust me. You might as well go through and watch every single one. If you haven't done that, then what are you playing at with your time, with your free time? Might be good, look at them all. There they all are. Just giving you some time to filter in before I do the official... Shall I do the official introduction now? It is 1 minute too, so... In 1 minute, I'll officially do the clapperboard and the introduction. And then I'll say the sad thing. And then I'll get on with some Mental Health Monday, and it'll just be like, fine. It won't be fine. It'll be fine. Look, there's the 8 o'clock. You're going to get this. You've had that now. We use that in the edit. Hi, you're with Scott. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is your right ear. And this is your left ear. It's actually Monday. It's always Monday. It's not always Monday. It's Mental Health Monday, 8 PM GMT. Always, every Monday at 8 PM GMT. Except if I say GMT because Greenwich Mean Time, England time. because that's where I am. But if you're in America, you've probably tuned in an hour ago, because we've got nice regular. If you're in America, you probably tuned in an hour ago. Ganjikidd Warrior Crew and thought, oh, where is he? Why is he not doing this? He's not been on stream this week at all, so last week, so maybe he's just off again. No, I'm here. It's just they changed the clocks in the UK. We've put the clock back an hour, so now it's 8 p.m. It was 8 p.m. earlier, but it wasn't for us, so I don't expect... I think this week's going to be a bit disjointed on that front. My fault. I should have told you last week to be ready an hour early in America. That's how time works, apparently. They haven't got that sorted out these days. Haven't even got that sorted out, have they, these days? Supposed to be firing people up into space on rockets. It's not even the same time everywhere. Haven't even got that sorted out. Well, it's night time somewhere and it's daytime somewhere else. Oh, can't you figure that out yet? Can't you sort that out for us? What, you haven't even got like some sort of giant Dyson, not sphere, but maybe like partial sphere to mirror the sun? Like it just goes up in space on the other side of the globe and it just lines up the day. It's always daytime. It's always midnight, it should be, really. It is this week. I haven't got that sorted. So what happens is it's different times all over the world. And right now is when it's 8 p.m. GMT. So nobody else knew. I kept it a secret. And it's going to be a quiet one this week. Fair enough. Before we get going then, I'll do my sad bit. No, before we get going, the first thing I have to do is say, if you think like Scotty Hottie here is just chuffling on, and you're feeling down and you're feeling sad, and like, why is he just chuffling? Move the thing. If you think he's like just chuffling on, this is the Samaritans in the UK, 116123 for free. You can call them. You can chuffle on. You can tell them whatever, get in you. You can say it in chat. It's not a problem. We can talk about your thing in chat. If you want to talk directly on the phone to someone, if you're feeling particularly down or upset or whatever, there's a good phone line. And they've got one of those in America, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. They get more to the point, don't they, in America? Although there's more. Samaritans is based off a biblical concept. Samaritans in the Bible. I shouldn't have to tell you this, should I? You should probably know this. I don't know if you should or shouldn't. I'll just tell it. In the Bible, there was a little story where it wasn't Jesus. It was before Jesus. This was like way back before Jesus. Two different tribes, groups of people. So I don't want to say tribes. Tribes is a bit, makes you think of like, people with spears in the jungle, doesn't it? Tribal tribes. No, it's not that sort of thing. It's just the Canaanites and the Israelites and the Samaria, Samaritans. It's a place, these different places. They were kind of at war and different things were going on. And one of these fellas is Samaritan. It wasn't the Samaritan that was on it's called the Good Samaritan, the story, but it wasn't. The Samaritan was just one of the people that was walking. There were different people. One of the people was so it's even getting me confused. One of them was knocked over on the floor, all bashed up, not feeling good, having a bad time. Not a Samaritan, a Canaanite or an Israelite or a Judean or a, they were having a fight, weren't they? A war. So this one had found his way onto the path. People were walking past and they were like, oh, I see that fella or lady or person of non-specific gender lying down there on the floor, feeling bad, having a bad time. They've been bashed up, haven't they? But we're at war with them. Like, they're a Judean or Canaanite or Israelite. I mean, I'm a whatever the opposite is. Imagine the opposite of that. So we've been at war, and there they are. They're bashed. Oh, it's bad for them. They just kept on walking. They weren't having it. They would just keep on walking. But keep on, like, these people walk. That's the concept anyway, and this has happened. So where does the Samaritan come in, you think? Oh, the Samaritans were the ones who were at war with them, so Samaritans were all walking past. They were all Samaritans that were walking past. I've remembered it better now. One of them said, hang on, wait. This ain't standing. This poor, unfortunate person, they're having a bad time. I know we're at war with them, the Samaritans. We're not supposed to be helping them. But I'm just going to pick them up here, and I'm going to help them out, because they're having a bad time. So they were a good Samaritan. And the point was, the concept was, that they were actually opposed. So Samaritans here, they're not... Don't get any funny. They're not at war with you. They're not at war with you. They're like just people who want to help people, even if they're, theoretically people who they're not supposed to help because we're at war with them or something like that. That's the overarching concept. That's where they got their name from. But it filtered through that the concept of being a good Samaritan just means like, being nice to people in general. So that's that. In America, you've got Lifeline, National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, but there's more words, isn't there? But it's more, says more directly about what it's about, I think. But, you know, even if you're not thinking, you're certainly on the edge, you know, you can still call them. 1-800-273-8255. That's 5 minutes into Mental Health Monday. I've only just managed to get through these 2 bits. So, why is he chuffing on? Why is he chuffing on? You can call them. You can talk to us in chat. The next thing that's important for me this week is this. And it's sad, so I'm just going to get through it and just say it and just sort of talk about it a little bit. This is like my second cousin. I think that's the official second nephew, second cousin. I'm an uncle. You see, I'm going to try and not. I don't feel like doing like jokes and things like that, but I'm going to be confused and a bit kerfuffled, and I'm going to laugh sometimes, and it's going to be whatever. And this is not like a tribute to Taylor, who died. This is just me telling you what happened this week in my family that made me feel like I couldn't stream or didn't want to stream. Yeah. So Taylor was killed by getting knocked off his bike by a car, which is pretty bad. He did get to hospital, but he died in hospital. His mom was with him, and his younger sister. Is it his younger sister or older sister? So, me personally, like, I just wanted to clear a few things up. Me personally, I didn't like. What am I saying? So our family is like, they know each other from the history of the family, like most families, and it goes back to a time when my grandfather, his brothers, my uncles, great uncles, they actually came to this country from India with their families. Life was tough, and they lived very close by. They helped each other out. Yeah, that's the story of like some generations ago. They had some children, of course, and those children were my granddad's children, my dad, his brother, and my great uncle's children. Not my uncles and aunties. This is where it gets confusing. It's like a different, but they felt like my uncles and aunties. So I'm going to just call them my uncles and aunties. I know it's wrong. Connective, like it might be like my second cousins, second uncles or something, I don't know. So then they have some children. It's me, my cousins, my second cousin once removed, my cousin. Taylor was son of my cousin. That's the way I feel about it. So yeah, I didn't, you know, he was 19, so I didn't grow up like taking him to the park or whatever. You know, we live a little bit away. We live sort of 40 minutes away in each direction. The cousins of the you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But his sister did come and work at my hairdressing shop when I think she was about 14. She came and worked at my hairdressing shop. And his mom, obviously I know her quite well. She's always been there in my life, like as a relative. Going back to my grandfather was a tough and difficult man, like a hard man. I don't know him. He died before I was born. But his brother, my great uncle John was a gentle and beautiful man who was an important presence in my life. So I learned a lot from him and deeply respected him and loved him. He had a 70th birthday party when I was a kid. So it was one of those, you know, he's my great uncle. He's my connection to my great grandfather. My dad used to take us there when we were kids to maintain this family connection, of course. His daughter, his granddaughter, Connor's mum, you know, were there as part of this connection, this family. We are a family. So a lot of how do I want to explain this? Like John, when he had a party, like would have to hire a church hall. He was connected to the church. He used to go to the church a lot, basically, and just be a good Samaritan, like we talked about earlier. John did. He was a big part of his community and was loved by his community. So when he had a party, it was like a big family party. All these children, all his brother's children and their children, and the cousins of the resident relatives, it was a big part, and it was an important maintenance of a connection because they came from another country into the country. So there was this added layer of this importance, this family connection. So John would have these parties, and he'd be like the patriarch of the family, essentially, the oldest one, the one that we'd all. He wasn't the oldest one. Got another, maybe he was. I don't know. Basically, that generation used to maintain this family connection by having these gatherings and get-togethers, and everyone would come. After he died, it was really sad. I was quite young. I felt like I lost a lot because, like I said, he was a very good role model, and there was some fracturing of that. I mean, in a way, not just because he died, but in the way that society is these days. When they were younger and in their day, closeness of family was different, wasn't it? But, people move to different places, they have their own families, and life moves on. And, now when we have a family get together, there's a few from this side that don't want to talk to so-and-so from there. And, maybe they don't feel it's as important as it was because they all respected that older generation. They all wanted to, come to Uncle John's party, but when it's their cousins or their second cousins or whatever, we don't seem to push that family gathering thing as hard as they used to in the past. But it doesn't mean I don't care about those people and the concepts that we grew up with. So Taylor being my second cousin, whatever you want to call it, I felt it's. First of all, I'll say about how I feel, because it's me and my show, but it's nothing. I want to make this clear. This is not about me and my feelings this week. It's not about me and my show and Scott's had a hard week. It's not about that. But I understand that I didn't know him as his sister did, as his mother did. When he was growing up, I was already grown up and he was a kid. So I didn't used to take him to the park and entertain him as a kid. At family gatherings, I'd probably be a young adult myself talking to the other young adults and grown-ups at the party. He was a kid. Do you know what I mean? But he was just coming into that age, 19, where we could have developed more of a relationship. Of course, last year we didn't because there was a COVID. And now we're not going to. That's a great shame. And that connection in family terms. Like, Taylor is the great-grandson of one of the most beautiful people that I've ever met. And in himself, like, I met... last time I saw him was at his mother's wedding, and he was wearing a full suit. And, got his bling on. He was happy, looking sharp. And I thought, there's a young adult that's, about to come into his own. And he did remind me of my great uncle. Hello, Zeke Sam, first time chat viewer. Just doing a little bit of a personal tragedy thing before I get into Mental Health Monday this week. Just getting through it and saying it. So just going to say a few things about family and stuff. So nice to have you here. It's a little bit of a curveball this week. But if you've got anything you want to talk about that's really getting to you, then you can put it in chat. Or if you think I'm chuffing on too much, remember there's always the Samaritans there and Lifeline that you can call straight away. But we are Mental Health Monday. I do this every Monday, 8 PM GMT. I've got a YouTube thing where I am actually Ganjikidd, so I've got a YouTube thing where, and this week's a bit of a sad week, and I'll just tell you why, and then I'll get into the history of mental health that we're doing. That's what we're really doing this week, and that's the old internet there. So just pop that off the top of my head. I'm going to be a bit this week anyway, because Taylor died. He was killed, and that's a tragedy. I feel really sad for his family first and foremost. I feel really sad for my cousin. That's how I consider her, Karen. And maybe I shouldn't say everyone's names and stuff. I don't know. It's the internet, isn't it? But I feel sad for them and his sister. His sister I knew much better because when she was growing up, I sort of attempted to mentor her a little bit because she worked in my hairdressing salon, and so I knew her a bit better. But yeah, that's what's happened this week, and he represented this deeper connection with this older generation of beautiful. My great uncle, who was beautiful, like, you know, I see it in him, and so that's even. It's like this extra layer of, I can't quite explain, sort of tragedy that's put on that in amongst the family, for the family, but more importantly for the, you know, direct for his mom and his sister. Obviously they've just lost, like, their world is torn and their hearts are broken, and maybe that's bad wording to use as well because the nature of the tragedy. I'm scatty-brained. I'm not here to do a thing about this tonight. I'm just saying it happened, so that's why I've not been on stream this week. So there we go. I've said it happened, and that's why I've not been on stream this week. And you can understand that I'm feeling really sad because it happened, but I'm also really feeling sad for the people that are closest to him. Like, I wish I could do something to alleviate their pain. Obviously, I can't. And that deeper layer of family tragedy, of thinking about what I've lost, or what we've lost as a family, yeah, that's going to go on for a while. So that's this week for me. I'll turn that off now. You're feeling a bit sad tonight. Well, that's going to make you feel better, isn't it? Me telling you about something sad. That's going to make you feel better. Now I can start with the joking and the malarking around, because last week I didn't want to do a stream. Oh God, you like this. Last week I was going to. It was Halloween, wasn't it? It was Halloween. We're going to get onto the mental health, the history of mental health. That's what we're going to be talking about in today and next week's Mental Health Monday, because I'm never going to get through all that tonight. Not even going to get onto it, maybe. Who knows? But last week was Halloween, and I had the plan in place before to do like a Halloweeny stream. We were going to do this game show called. You see, we're listening to Zelda at the moment. Here's the thing. You're gonna have to see it now. I'll have to move the windows. We're listening to lovely Zelda music. It's lovely. But if we just bin that off, that's the Nintendo Switch, and I've got Bullseye. So let's close the YouTube and open up Bullseye. So I promised this to the stream. I promised that we were going to be playing game shows for the end of the month, and Bullseye was the promised game show. Looking forward to putting together a bit of a stream centered around it. And then obviously my second cousin died, so I don't feel like being the, hey, game show, hey, let's do this. So I just haven't. And then for Halloween as well, what happened is I've been looking at this game. Just show it here. Round one.
Play Bullseye.
Let's play Bullseye, it says. The rules, you don't need to see the rules. It's just terrible, look. It's terrible. You have to throw this dart, yeah? So you won't be able to interact so much on... I wanted the other, you to be able to interact because it was a quiz. I thought you do the questions, I'll throw the darts, maybe we could do that. So look, check this out though. You can move the dart around, you can manipulate the dart. But if I move the dart all the way like that and throw it...
Oh no, you've missed.
I've missed.
Nothing this time, I'm afraid.
You're not going to want to do that, are you? That's foolish. You're just going to want it pointed at the dartboard, aren't you? So you throw it at the dartboard.
Right, another 30 points if you can answer this.
You got to answer your question. Here's your question. Now, you're on a delay. Who directed the 1988 film Cinema Paradiso? Werner Herzog, Jean-Luc Godard, Giuseppe Tomato, or Roberto Rossellini? You got 8 seconds. You're on a delay. So you're never going to get that in time.
Oh,
I've got it wrong.
That's not correct.
The problem you've got is that it's got its timer on the quiz. There's like I don't know what seconds, like 5 seconds, 30 seconds, somewhere between that delay on the old stream, isn't there? In case something awful happens and I have to quickly cut it off before we broadcast that. In case somehow my clothes disappear and I'm like, oh, naked on stream, that's against terms of service. Didn't want to do that. So quick cut. But that means there's a little bit of a delay. And so you can't play Bullseye because I can't read the questions quick enough. So that's sad. And then the other thing is, this I was going to bear in mind it was Halloween for this one. I'll just turn this up a bit. You're feeling a bit sad. This ain't going to help, but hopefully you'll make a bit of a joke out of it. I've got to remember to liven up. It's going to help you. It's going to help us both. If you want exact specific mental health tips, we can talk about exactly why you feel sad. You can tell me whatever you want in chat. We can try and dig up some specific tips for you. Not a problem. Otherwise, I'll just try and jolly us along by telling you what's been happening, and then maybe going into the history of mental illness like we were going to. Every week we do something about mental health, whether it's a specific mental health thing, how to help people, the history, whatever. Right now it's Bullseye. So that piano music just tinkering along in the background, and the sparseness of the format of the thing, the sparseness. Look, throw it nothing this time. Okay, fine. I don't want to. I'm already feeling like I don't want to throw any more arrows. I've been feeling a bit down this week, so I'm just going to throw them off the board, mate.
Nothing this time, I'm afraid.
That's fine. I just want to show you the stream, what it's like in the game.
Oh no,
I've missed. You know, you can imagine questions. You know what questions are like. You've already seen one. Once you've seen one, you've seen them all. Oh, you're going to see another one now.
Points if you can get this.
General. So this is how I've been feeling this week anyway. Rhinoplasty. What's the medical term for plastic surgery on the eyes? See, I'm a bit scatty-brained. I've said the answers before I got there. It's not rhinoplasty. I don't know which one it is. It's not abdominal. Maybe it's B.
Well played. That's right.
Well played. That's not the official presenter of Bullseye that you're hearing, because he turned out to be racist. So there's another layer that's horrible.
End of round one.
End of round one.
Everyone. Here were the scores.
Round two. Right, did you see how I just went straight into it?
Right, let's go back to Richard for the next game.
Next game. And then you got... And guess what the next game is? It's throwing chuffing darts, isn't it? Look. You throw the darts. Oh, nothing this time. You throw the darts.
18.
And it's a question. So, already...
Oh, no. Sorry. That's wrong.
It's so bleak, isn't it? Like, I'm going to pause that there. We're going to turn that off there. We're going to go back to YouTube. Close Bully's eyes. Close Bully's eyes for a little while. We don't have to... Got that on sale, bear in mind. So it didn't cost a lot of money. But it was bleak, wasn't it? Oh, it was bleak. We're going to go back to Zelda. We're going to just search up Zelda music like we do. Mad Season Show. If you want to watch some things that might make... Mad Season Show is quite cool, isn't it? Look, where's the relaxing one? The one that I use. It should tell me which. I think it's this one, isn't it? This is the one. Okay, so there we go. That's nice music for us in the background. That's better. We don't have to see that. We can disappear that now. So Bullseye, I'll tell you about it without it looking it. Don't even want to see it on the screen. It was bleak, wasn't it? And so what I was going to do for that was I was going to make a stream centered around the bleakness for Halloween. I was going to maybe Halloween costume myself up a bit. I've got a t-shirt from Dark Souls with the phrase "You died," which is not appropriate for the same week as one of my relatives has died, is it? So can't do that. And I was going to make it like the whole concept of the stream, like the Halloween stream, was going to be some sort of purgatory, some sort of never-ending purgatory of the darts game. You know, not hell itself, but you know, maybe. You know, the concept was centered around death and purgatory and, you know, dragging out of something tedious. Now I think about it, it's probably not a very good stream, is it? Dragging out something tedious. Probably not a good look for a streamer. What are you doing this week? Oh, I'm trying to drag out something tedious on stream. Oh, be sure to check in. Be sure to check in. If you come and check out the stream and I'm dragging out something tedious. Oh, look, there's a squirrel there. That's good. That's good. That's an advert, but it can stay. It's not an advert. It's something about there from on there. That's Inquiry's Journal. Look, stay on track. Inquiry's Journal, we're using as a little jumping off point because they've written an article about history of mental illness. So they've got a squirrel. So that's probably gonna distract you from me, isn't it? I've mentioned it now. Now you're all gonna be on the squirrel. You're gonna have forgotten all the. Doesn't matter. Mental Health Mondays sorted. You've just seen a squirrel. Honestly, that's not even a bad look. If you're feeling a bit down today and tonight, and tomorrow you can see yourself a squirrel, I guarantee you that's 10 points in the energy bank for feeling better. I went out yesterday on Halloween, wasn't it? Yesterday, I went out on Halloween with my dog trying to bite some ghosties. If it does bite a child and the child is dressed as a ghost, I can say, well, officer, I believed it to be a supernatural entity. It is the night of All Hallows. Officer, it is the night of All Hallows, and I believed it to be a supernatural entity. So not only did my dog bite I was going to say child, that would have got me in it. Not only did my dog bite the ghost, but I unleashed him and encouraged it. Not only that was because I shouldn't joke because people get quite badly bitten by dogs, but my dog's only a little chuffer. He's not if you got bit by my dog, then you wouldn't be able to get your trousers off, I'll tell you that. So he's just a little chuffer. So yeah, but you could say, couldn't you, to the police that it was because you thought it was a real ghost. So until the sheet came off, officer, I didn't realise I should be stopping it. In fact, I was encouraging it. The skeleton, I'm surprised I didn't go for the skeleton because dogs like a bone, don't they? And there's a skeleton. He's all bones. It's all bones. Skeleton. Go after him. So, yeah, officer. I was out walking my dog anyway. We didn't bite any kids or anything. We didn't even see anyone. You know, these days people are too sensible to go out walking around late at night when there's people and their dogs looking out for ghosties. So I was out there with the dog. I've forgotten even why I was saying this. Yeah, we saw a Foxy. There's an urban fox lives up around my way. We were walking down the road. He ran across. The dog was like, "Oh, my chuffing, what? Are you having that?" I was like, yeah, son, we're having that. Go on. I didn't let him off the lead because that would have been an issue. But I did say to him, go on, and he ran to the extent of the extendable. Way, Foxy. Didn't realise you were going to garrot me at the end there, Dad. So, no, sorry, it's the length of the lead. You have to get used to that, son. So anyway, he's off there. He's gone. Oh, tap the mic. You don't want to do that. It makes bad noises. 1, 2, chuffy, 1, 2. The dog's been off barking, looking for Foxy. I thought that was nice. It's nice just to see the wildlife and squirrels and that. We go in the fields. Today I've been to the fields with 2 dogs, my sister's dog and my dog. Out in the fields, they're running about. I'm sort of running about, trying not to get muddy, but occasionally you'll see a foxy, or you might even see a deer or a squirrel, and it is it's there in the corner there on the window, but on the little images. Better in real life, you're like, there's a magic moment, isn't there? A little magic moment where you're like, oh, saw a squirrel there. The squirrel sees you. There's like a moment. You have a little moment. You know they've got brains going on, don't you? They're not just like, they see you, you see them, and before you can say, oh, do you mind if I take your photo, they've gone, chuffed off. He's going to get his camera out. Let's go, quick before he takes he's going to take a photo of me. I don't want to be on Facebook. Fucking, I swore that I shouldn't. I see my bit scatty. Don't want to be on Facebook. I'm a squirrel. Don't want my image to be in the cloud. Thank you very much. Got business to attend to up this tree. So the squirrel doesn't want his phone. My phone, but he's not into that. He's off. But before that, there's a moment, isn't there? So you either have to walk around with your phone like that, or just enjoy the moments. And I think it's better to just enjoy the moments, and they're good moments. So that's just a little squirrel, isn't it? So if you're feeling a bit sad tonight, remember that tomorrow you might see a squirrel. And life is just a series of moments. Some of them are sad, some of them are happy. You get through each and every one because things come and pass like waves. Some things you hold on to. A really good analogy I heard the other day was about thoughts and feelings, maybe, but thoughts going by like on a conveyor belt. Maybe like not sushi, because I'm vegan, I wouldn't have the fish on the conveyor belt. How long's that been there? I'm not eating that. Look, the conveyor belt of life, the Amazon thing of parcels of thoughts, ideas going through your head. And some of them you do actually get a hold on to, don't you? You get a hold on to and say, that's for me, that one. That's for me. I'm keeping that one. That's under my arm. That's my thoughts. I'm thinking about that all the time. Some tragedies that, you know, this week we've had a personal tragedy in our family. Personal. It's not about me. There's a tragedy in our family, and yeah, that's obviously a thought and a box that you're going to need to hold on to for a while before you can just put that back somewhere. I'm laughing. I'm laughing because it's not that easy, is it? You know, you box these things up and put them somewhere. But you know what I mean. It's not going to be that easy initially. You're going to hold on to that. It's going to be hard to carry for a while. People are going to want to come and help you carry it, but you can't even. It's hard to know how. Yeah. So remember that though. That everything you can put everything down. You can think about something else, even if it's for 10 seconds. Even if the thinking about it is part of the thing that gets you through it. I don't want to go on about this specific grief. We've got a video on grief. I'm just going to change the squirrel for a second so you can see that, because we've got a good video on grief there. 5 views. I don't know. I look a bit scary in it. Underlit. It's before we even. It's in this room, but before we got the lighting sorted, when we were right at the start of the stream, right in the early days at the start of this year, before we were even an affiliate, I think. So there we are. That we've got a video. I might touch on it again, but not this week. But yeah, so if you're feeling these things though, you can let everything passes like waves. You can let things go. You can find something else to think about for a bit, and that'll pass, of course. You know, watching Squid Game is not going to last all day, every day, but if you can get through 5 minutes, you can get through 10. If you've managed to get through, if you get through your darkest times by just getting through the next 5 minutes until you sort of think, oh, I did a half hour there without thinking about the thing that I'm carrying, the bad thoughts, the hard things. I did a half hour there without thinking about it. Then maybe you can look for the next hour. You know, you keep having to pick these things up. You keep having to, pick them up. Eventually, you've got to really have a good rummage around, examine them, find out where to put them, how to put them down in the right places. But you know, you don't have to always. I don't know. Maybe that's a good analogy. Maybe it's not. So what I was saying was that if you're feeling a bit sad tonight, that's okay, because tomorrow you might see a squirrel. That's a nice box. That's a box you want to take a little smell of. What have they sent me? What's in this box? A little squirrel. Wow, didn't know that was going to happen. You can make the chance of your squirrel happen more by being out there, can't you? Out in the woods. Whatever it is, whatever your squirrel is, whatever, something nice. You can probably just increase the chances of making it happen in ways. Just by giving it a go and having a crack. So tomorrow can be, full of squirrels. That's my message. It's not full of squirrels now, it's full of maps or something. I don't know. I wish it was full of squirrels again. That's bad. Climate change, that's gone. Look, anyway. And also, I feel a responsibility to talk about climate change this year with the big... everyone's having their lovely dinners. I feel absolutely surprised that they're going to be so much money is going to be spent on the dinners for the rich and the... I don't know. They're having something to do with climate change. But I can't think about that this week either, so there you go. I can't think about that either. We were going to do the history of mental health. That's what we're going to do. There's the Samaritans. There's Lifeline. I'm Ganjikidd. That's Mental Health Monday. They're the main things. The main things. Last week, and I did edit it last week, even though we talked about Jesus for about an hour. Oh, there's some weirdness as well that because last week, anyway. I'm not even going to get into my... Just... Anytime I have to think about, and this is pertinent because of my personal tragedy, I'm just going to be like, no, let's not get into that. This is not... Like, some weeks, it's important that I talk all about how I feel. Some weeks. This is not that week. Even though I feel bad, it's not about me talking about how I feel. I'm eating a biscuit now. If I turn it down like that, you can't even hear me eat the biscuit now. Like, theoretically, I'm like the teacher. Do you remember? I apologise. I'm not a mukbanger. Right, that's going to take ages to get out of my teeth now. So, do you remember in class when you weren't allowed to eat in class? Definitely you weren't. That was always that was a no-no. One of the main things. There's quite a few things you're not allowed, but one of them was eating. Definitely weren't. You weren't. Do you remember that when you might not even be little? You might not have to remember that back far. Maybe it happens tomorrow. You're not allowed to do it. But there's always one teacher, isn't there? And there's always one teacher. We had one that was diabetic, so they get a little bit of, maybe they're allowed because they're diabetic. But I didn't know. And it wasn't just them. You always get one teacher, and they just eat, don't they? They have something to eat, and you're like, well, chuffing hell. This is not on. I'm chuffing hungry. You're eating. I'm not allowed. What the chuff? Well, now I've just been eating my biscuit. Although here, you are allowed to eat whatever you want during the broadcast. That is fine. It doesn't even put me off. I'm not even bothered. You can eat whatever you want. In fact, why don't you get yourself a drink and a snack? I should say that at the start. Isaac Arthur does. You can do that. Look, I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to get on with the chuffing talking. Last week we did Mental Health History Timeline, and we got up to ancient Greece, really. We talked about how in the prehistory, the earliest, we don't really know what was going on really, but we found some skulls and they had some holes in, so they reckoned that, to help people with mental health, they bashed their heads in. And then you had the ancient Egyptians, and the ancient Egyptians, they were all about Amun-Ra, and that if you had mental health problems, it was because God sort of did it to you, and maybe you should hurry up and build that pyramid. So that was bad. That was a bad concept, because it was we discussed last week that it would be really difficult to, there's not very many pools of resource to help you, support you get through it, and it wouldn't be a clear goal of how and why and what if you thought that God was afflicting you with it. So we sort of said that was a bad idea, and we can go on to prove when we get to the more modern stuff why that is actually a bad idea. We can reflect on that again when we get to that episode. This is the good bit of Zelda, isn't it? Whatever I'm saying now is the best bit of the video, because this is one of the good songs. You're allowed to use the Zelda music, it's fine. Just puts a bit of a spin on what I'm saying. It's alright. It's alright. This is, don't even have to say anything, it's just, Look, we got up to ancient Greece, and in ancient Greece, Hippocrates himself, big old beard on the fella, he said that, no, wait, you got it wrong. You're getting way off track. Don't think that religion and God is no. He was like, look, I've been having a little think, and I reckon it might be that diseases, not just the brain, not just the people who are suffering with mental health problems, not just them. And actually, I learned something new this week that I'll tell you about once I've done Hippocrates. Not just them, but other people who are suffering with, like, I don't know, bad eye, bad foot. There's some scientific. It's like the Latin term for, when you go to the hospital and they say, you say, I've got this wrong with me, and they say you don't understand what they're saying. Do you remember that when they, and they, oh, sorry, that was just like the medical term. You mean bad foot? Yeah, bad foot. Oh, bad foot. Oh, you've got bad foot. Why don't you come this way into the bad foot section? It's got a funny name, of course. Wouldn't want you knowing where you were in the hospital until you'd learned all that Latin. So look, sit there in the bad foot section. You're not going anywhere, are you? Because you've got bad foot. Anyway, look, it was Hippocrates himself who said, look, basically, bad foot, everything, all the different things, mental health as well. They're I think they coined the phrase probably pathology, things that are bad, in your body, like they can be fixed. We could have like medicines and scientific ways of working out what they are and how to fix them. Science-based approach. That was ancient Greece. He was into that, Hippocrates. He sort of started a movement, started a way of thinking about the thing. Not just the mental health, but all the health in general. Probably wasn't the first person to do that, probably in different cultures around the world. because we're looking at it through like a Western prism, but probably in different cultures throughout the world, they had their own versions of rudimentary medicines, their own understandings of it. We have sort of said, in brackets, most early cultures thought that many of the bad things that they couldn't understand were just like afflictions from gods. So maybe maybe the ancient Celts really didn't believe that God afflicted people and that everything was, internal pathological, and maybe they just didn't have the device to really diagnose it. I can't ask them, and it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter enough for me to do a stream about it. So another week I could have gone off on a way off tangent. I could have been talking to Boudica, but I just don't really quite feel like that this week. So give me a break. Look, last week I took a break. This week I'm getting back into it. So give me some leeway to get back into it. In the fairy fountain now. What have I done? I've chosen the wrong music. It was supposed to be just the background music, just the the ones you can't recognise. I've chosen the fairy fountain music. Everyone knows that. I'm eating a biscuit. You're not supposed to be eating a biscuit. I'll eat what I like. It's my class. Everyone's getting a D anyway. Oh, except for you. Him, her. I don't know. Them. They. They're getting an A. You're getting an A. Everyone else getting a D. They don't even turn up. They didn't even turn up. They didn't even know that we turned the clocks back in England. I didn't even tell them. But anyway, if I did this an hour earlier, there'd be all people like, hey, I'm ready. Hey, let's go. But because I'm an idiot. Because in England, we arranged to have the clock time changed. They're not. They came an hour ago and no one was here. They're like, oh, they must have been in detention for eating in class. So look, we found out that in ancient Greece, that was the jam. That science came and changed the minds, and the ideas was flying around, and people were like, oh, if that's the case, maybe I should study Badfoot, get some names going down for it. Maybe I'll have a look at some ligaments. Let me have a look at your leg, mate. Have a look at your leg, mate. Well, can I have it when you're done with it? Can I have it when you're done with it? That sort of business was going on, science. And then there was Jesus. I imagine, this isn't in the history books here, but I imagine Jesus caused a bit of a problem. He wasn't the main big thing until a few years after his death, was he? But as we know, I don't know if you do know, we know, I know, you know, everyone knows, you do because you're getting an A. The church became quite big in society, didn't it? Became quite big and quite powerful, and quite a lot of their ideas became quite popular. So one of the concepts with Jesus and the healing and all that, he used to do some magic healing. So we'd gone from, it's about afflictions from God, and to cure yourself you might want to appease the gods, get a pyramid built. We've gone from that and don't worry about that, science is going to sort you out. We're going to find out the stuff, whatever it is in that herbal concoction, we're going to find out, and then we're going to just give you that, and it's going to make you better. So, and then we've gone from that into this guy can sort of just fix me up by laying on his hands. I was leopard and now I'm not. He changed my spots. It's not supposed to happen. And this week the edit's going to be difficult because I've got a little spot myself. It's been a difficult week. I've got a little spot myself. I forgot to wear the same jumper as well, because last week we did this and I got 10 minutes of it in the edit. So that's what happened. Then Jesus, and that put the spins on it. People got some funny ideas. So after that, you've got lots of time and things happening. Let's talk about it. Let's at least get another 10 minutes out of it for the edit. Getting a bit of a headache because I don't know if you know. I've got like a light on me there, which is just a little... I'll turn this one off for a minute and you'll see what I mean. Right. Now, that's no lights at all. That's just the lights in the room. It's quite nice actually for me. It's quite nice. It looks all right on screen, but you can't really see me. So that's just my bedside light. It used to be by my bedside. It's one of those cheap desk lamp things. It used to be by my bedside. Now it's on top of my telly, which is actually not my telly anymore. It's the monitor. I don't have a telly upstairs. Anyway, look, some things they're here. That's all right. I have to lean towards it. Got one of these though. This is we paid for that off the old stream. Tippies and chippies. Thank you. I appreciate you, tippies and chippies. This is where it goes. We've got that. Going to use it when we do the podcast. That's what the rest of this room is for. It's all set up for a podcast. Ready. All ready. And that's another light, you see. So now I look like a professional. But it means I've got these 2 lights on me. And usually it doesn't bother me. For some reason today I'm getting a bit of a headache from it. I think it's that. I don't know. See, I don't know. Isn't that weird? Talking about science and medicine. Here's a little tangent I'm going to have to go on. There's the squirrel. Hey, he's back. They're back. Hey. What are they doing to that squirrel? Michael and Christina, they've got their own squirrel in their house. That's not the way you want to go about it. Trust me. So... I've got a biscuit in my teeth now. So it's like one of those ASMR. I don't like doing the sticky mouth ASMR. I'm not doing that. I've got some bits in my teeth now. The medicine, isn't it strange? When I was younger, I thought by now, I saw these things on the telly. I thought by now you'd be going in the doctors and you'd be getting the Star Trek style scan, and it'd be like, these are the things that are going on in your body. These are the vital signs. These are the, that's what's in your blood. Don't need to take a big vial of it and send it off. We've got Star Trek-esque. Of course, we all watched Star Trek when we were young. Yeah, that's why we built this thing. I thought they'd be doing that. I thought they'd be up to that sort of stuff in medicine. I thought we'd know a bit more than we do now. Why does your head hurt when you get a headache? Oh, it's dehydration, isn't it? Probably, might be. Don't know exactly. Can you put my head on the scanner? No, it's really expensive and we've only got one, and it's like a great big electromagnetic thing. Goes, use it for all the really poorly people to try and find out what's wrong with them. And there's a big queue of them. So, yeah, I get it. But I'm surprised that we didn't put more money into, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and that, shooting a big rocket up into space. Shooting all that money up into space. But we don't. I know it seems like, what do you mean we don't have a Star Trek scanner? I'll tell you what you do have at the airport. You've got because some people used aeroplanes to try and blow things up, didn't they? They had that problem with that. So now at the airport, when you go on the airport, they can see I was going to say up your bum. Not talking about you and your bum. Sorry about that. It was a bit rude. But they've got like a scanning device that can scan your body when you go to the airport, haven't they? They've got one of them at the airport. But for health purposes, we're not up to that yet. We're still on the old system when you were a kid, when I was a kid. The old system. We've got an IRMRI. That's fairly new. I think it existed when I was a kid. Maybe it didn't. But you certainly don't have a personal, go to the GP, step into our scanners. And don't worry, because we've got, we've made some leaps and bounds in medical science, absolutely. But certainly not the sort of standard and distance that I thought we would have done when I was a kid. We've done some other stuff, haven't we? We've done some other stuff. Really pushed on with some other stuff. Absolutely. I mean, computer technology is a good thing. It can help us with that, next step in science that can help us with those medical things. Yeah, I get that. It's good stuff. I play games. I like the computer games. Yeah, absolutely good stuff. I'm not saying don't do that. I am sort of saying don't fire your money up into space. I'm looking up like I can see the rocket. I can't see the rocket. Whether it explodes into really expensive pieces or not. All that fuel and all that money burned off going into space. I see there might be some, when they do the space program, we have tin foil. The old tin foil that you use in your kitchen that you're not supposed to use anymore because it's bad for the environment. You know that. Oh, it's NASA. When you've got a cap and your cap, that was NASA. Yeah, I get it. You wellies, you like wellies? They're NASA. Oh, are they? Oh, I see. We only designed them because we were sending them up into space. You'd have wet feet in the winter otherwise. Oh, I get it. NASA, okay. They developed some things and we used some things that they developed. I get it. But like maybe a little less firing it off into space, hoping it explodes into some sort of benefit. Like maybe less of that. Maybe a bit more feed everyone, work out why people are poorly and fix it. I thought that would be the way things went. It's not the way it went. It took a long time to get from Hippocrates to now. Seems like a very long time. It has been a very long time. The money is just not being poured into the public services in the way it should these days. I don't know. That's a bit of politics, way. But, you know, we are the public after all, and that's where the money comes from. Look, we were talking about this last week. So, we did Hippocrates. That was up to there. Later, see, I'm a pro. Bits in my teeth. This what I'm eating is one of those crunchy bars that's dry as a camel's. What would a camel want to keep really dry? What would a camel want to keep really dry? Do you know what's better to be? What's better to be dry? Like really dry. So I'm not getting wet. Oh, that'd spoil it. Don't. Oh, it got wet. That's whatever that is. The camel's got keeping. Start that. Nature Valley. I really despise. I mean, I'm eating it because it's vegan, but I despise any like Nature Valley. The concept of the company. I bet it's not in a natural valley. I mean, all food comes from like the valleys and the nature. Doesn't it? All food comes from. Yeah, I get that, but some of it's like grown like by aggressive farmers who subject the land to their will, deny nature its natural course, and pump a lot of money into the governing parties so their financial investments can maintain their grip on the land. I don't know, like nature and valleys. They're not been out in some Nature Valley picking the oats for that, have they? And it's really dry, that bar. It's like, oh, chuff you vegans, just have whatever we give you. It's dry. It's come out of a factory. The reason it's so dry is because it's just the sweepings from the factory floor. Nature's Valley, Nature's Goodness, Nature's Bounty, Bounty Valley. They just give these names, don't they? Just give them these names. Nature Valley. It's nothing to do with nature and valleys. Like, if you want to be more... I get it, the oats come from outdoors, don't they? The oats come from outdoors. But then they're processed in this factory into this sort of biscuit bar. So you could equally call it like urban factory, couldn't you, instead of Nature Valley? You spent some time in one of those. Spent more time in the field, but then it takes a long time to grow an oat, doesn't it? Relatively to the amount of time it spends in the factory. I suppose you could put them in hoppers until they're ready to be factory turned into oat bars. Hopper storage, metallic hopper. It could be called Nature Valley. Why did they pick those words? Oh, it sells well, doesn't it? And it evokes certain ideas. Well, when they named it Nature Valley, they were probably in a conference room in some business park, surrounded by buildings doing industrial business. So someone came up with the concept of Nature Valley, and they thought, well, that sounds nice. Sounds nicer than where we really are. Let's call it that. And I wish they didn't have... For me, I'd just be happier if instead of all the competition... the competition's a really big part of capitalism, so maybe you could have 2 or 3 companies, maybe, at most, doing these sort of nut bar things. At most. I don't need any more choice than that, I don't think. Maybe the innovation in nut bars would be reduced. Maybe the innovation in nut bars, the potential innovation in nut bars would come down a bit. Maybe. Maybe I wouldn't be getting the same nut bar as I might from the capitalist system in a different system, but maybe we wouldn't spend so much time... I want to say a rude word, but I'll say anyway, what the hell. I want to spend so much time dicking around with the names of the nut bar, the promotion of the nut bar, the wrapping of the nut bar. Maybe we wouldn't spend so much time dicking around if we just... In the supermarket, they were all just... Like, you had like your brand was just allowed to be on white background in capital letters, not funny capital letters, like, you know, just so we can all read what it says. Nut bar, not Nature Valley crunchy thing. It's got crunchy written on it. Like, okay, that's a descriptive word. I get it. Okay, you're allowed that. You're allowed 5 descriptive words. Not. Maybe that's too much. Maybe that's too much, because you're going to get all. People are going to get all hyperbolic in their descriptive words. They have to be the 5. You're allowed 3, and what they have to be is when people eat them, the feedback they give, the top 3 answers. That's what you're allowed to put, and you're allowed to give it its title of what, you know, primary 2 ingredients. If it's because it's called oats and dark chocolate. Now, dark chocolate is not the secondary ingredient in that. Can't even read it, because if I pick it up, it's all going to go everywhere. See carton for details. All right, see bockins for details. The bockins, the box. It's not, chocolate's not the second ingredient, but it's called, like, chocolate's the selling point. So they've got, no, let's just have, so I can see what I'm buying, so it's easier. Let's reduce the competition. Right? Same with cereal. Have you ever seen how much cereal there is in a supermarket? Have you ever seen that? How much cereal there is? Why do we have to have 5 different brands of the same kind of cornflake? Even if it's just basic cornflakes or sugared cornflakes, right? Why not? Why have we got 5? Like, there's the supermarket brand, then there's the main brand, then there's the second one. Maybe there's 3 or 4. You know, maybe they don't choose to put the 5th brand on there because it's just not as popular. Whatever. Why do we have to have so many people making? Why don't we just say, look, chuff it. You're making cornflakes. All right. Well, I'm not going to do it as well. It seems like a massive waste of time and resources to compete with each other on who's going to make the best cornflake. We're up to a certain standard now on cornflakes, aren't we? You know, they're not getting dramatically better, are they? So let's just put all our efforts, instead of compete, all the money that goes in, because what happens with marketing, you might say, oh, but competition's good for it. Competition's good for business, isn't it? There's lots of reasons it's good for business. It keeps people on their toes, makes them do a better product. You might go to the other product. Okay, yeah, you can keep an alternative. You can have a bit of choice. That's fine. But the money that goes into the marketing it, because it's not these days about a better product. You know, you don't choose the better product because you're so tuned into the quality of the cornflake. You know, there's a lot of marketing that goes into it, isn't it? There's a lot of marketing. And maybe you wouldn't care. Maybe if you never knew about the brand leading cornflake and you just had a slightly inferior cornflake that was still quite a good cornflake, maybe you'd never have known all your life and it wasn't a problem. Maybe in Russia they've got nice cornflakes, you've never had them, it doesn't matter. No, you just eat the cornflakes. We could get all that money that we spend on all those people selling the cornflakes, selling their job. Like, if you're in marketing, you want to tell a business, you need us. You're going to make sure, if you give us money, we're going to make sure you feel that money is well spent. Because we're a marketing company, we're about making people feel things. So we're going to tell you that we're selling your product and we're doing a good job. But the most important thing is that you keep paying us money. So marketing is about selling marketing as much as it is about selling products, because their product, the marketing, is the main product for them because they're making the money off it. So if we got rid of that, you went in the supermarket, or maybe there'd be fewer supermarkets, maybe just the local shop, and you said, look, I'll have a box of cornflakes, please. And they say, do you want the ones from option A or option B? You've got different tastes in the world of cornflakes. We get it. These ones are more to the taste of A, and these are more to the taste of B. And you just write, look, do I really care about the difference between A and B? And if they, oh, you're a man of my own heart, I'll give you an equal measure of both mixed in. Whatever. You know, a box of cornflakes. And whilst you might think that would be worse, instead of all the money and all that, maybe we would have cures to some of the problems. Maybe we wouldn't have the problems that knock onto the other problems. You know, maybe some of the poverty and the wealth distribution, and, you know, maybe people's lives being a bit better would lead to fewer problems. I don't know. But yeah, that's how we have it. Gone off on a tangent, and it wasn't a good one. When I'm feeling down, I moan about stuff more, and I don't want to be. My stream is not for Scotty's moaning show. But that was just, that was what I was thinking about. It was because I was talking about medical science and about how maybe more money could be put into it if less had to be put into other things. It was, yeah. Anyway. We've got Roman physician Galen. Galen introduced the concept of the 4 essential fluids of the human body: blood, phlegm, bile and black bile, the combinations of which produce the unique personalities of individuals. Now, that's not... that's not going to edit in very well, because that's not what... that's not... that was an idea that was perpetuated throughout the Middle Ages, and I think, even on into... I want to say Victorian times, maybe just before Victorian times, Yeah, certainly through the Middle Ages, though, certainly through the first Tudor period, the idea that you had these 4 essential fluids, and if they were out of balance, then you would be unwell. I mean, that's a historical fact of what people thought, so it's important we look at it in terms of the history of mental health. That's what we're doing. So if you had too much blood, they would let your blood... It's a bit horrible, isn't it? They'd let your blood, they'd take it out of you with the use of leeches, or just cutting you open and having you bleed. Bit horrible. Phlegm, bile and black bile. I'm not exactly sure how they would balance those, but it doesn't sound nice. And I don't know why the 4 essential fluids of the human body. Who came up with this? Roman physician Galen. Blood's clear, isn't it? You're full of it. It's obvious why blood would be one of the 4 essential fluids. Don't know why there has to be 4. Phlegm, I suppose, again, you can, what's this in my mouth, what's in my nose, or this, you can call that, that's part of your body, I guess. Bile, my tummy, you get bile out your tummy. And black bile, and that's it. Water wasn't, you drink quite a lot of water. You didn't miss it. No, you didn't. Well, you didn't miss Mental Health Monday. No, you didn't. Nice to see you. Although I'm not going to drone on for hours tonight. What happened was, the reason that you thought it was a different time was because it was a different time. They changed the clocks in the UK. So in America, if you're in America, then you thought it was an hour ago, and it wasn't, because in the UK we've changed the clocks. So that's the system. And this week I'm feeling bad because a relative of mine was killed in a tragic situation. They were young and they were killed in a motorbike accident. So I'm feeling sad that this week we've just had, I haven't streamed because I didn't feel like doing a Halloween stream in the face of that tragedy, and the context of my Halloween stream being like, oh, ghosts and spookies, and like, oh, you're in Essex, you just forgot it's Monday. Classic. If... The problem I have now is that I want to talk about Essex, because I like Eddie Hearn. He's from Essex, isn't he? Isn't he? Eddie Hearn's from Essex, and I like the boxing. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. What we're going to get into, what I'm carrying on I'm trying to get. Yeah, you see, it has been rough, but this is not Scotty Hottie's I Feel Bad stream this week. It's been more rough for other people. There are some concepts that have made me feel particularly unhappy this week, like the death itself and other aspects of it. But the people I feel most sad for at this time are his close relatives, like his mom and his sister. So that's also like, what I'm trying to say is, this is not a stream where I'm like, oh, poor me, I feel bad because this thing happened. I feel bad for other people, and I'm not going to be going on about me. So that's this week. I haven't been feeling like doing a stream because, the context of everything with Halloween and game shows and me being chirpy. But yeah, but thanks for saying it's rough. Like, it has been a bit. In fact, you just reminded me that the chat's not in the right position on the old screen there. Why is that? I can fix that. Come on, I can fix that. There you go. Move that around there. So I'm trying to get another 10 minutes, because last week we only got 10 minutes of Mental Health Monday, and then I had to edit the rest of the Jesus stuff. But we got 10 minutes in the Mental Health Monday edit. So if I can get another 10 minutes, then I can at least improve that edit by 10. It's a 20-minute edit then. Can at least, maybe we can even put that out. I'm going to get through today's stream, and then tomorrow I'm going to come back online, and the next day, with a greater intent. I'll tell you what, I'm going to, yeah, exactly how. The first 10 minutes when we got up to Hippocrates, that was just about bearable for a video that wasn't Jesus-based stand-up comedy. But the other thing that's been troubling, no, I'm going to talk about me, like I said I wasn't, but another thing that's been troubling me this week is that I know I didn't want to do the streams because the context and the feelings, but also if you don't do things, if I'm like, I'm not going to stream because I feel bad, then it makes me feel bad because I'm not driving things forward, because I'm not trying to push my life forward, because I'm not showing my face and standing up to things, and you know, not being here is not a positive, it's a negative for me. Not being here is a negative. So being here is important. So this week I'm saying to myself, absolutely, I'm not going to, some things are going to, you know, feel like this and like that, whatever. I need to be here and I need to be doing it. So I've given myself a week off where it just wasn't appropriate that I streamed, and I didn't feel like streaming. And then now we're back. And I have to, you know, we have to be back. We have to, you know, I have to, absolutely have to. So I just talked about the blood, phlegm, bile and black bile. And if you had, I wonder if I can Google that up. It's probably not a nice thing to Google. What was it called? Let's go to that again. What was it called? 4 essential fluids. I don't want to bring up anything horrible in the old. You know, you never know what you search for 4 essential fluids, and you don't know what you're about to get. Do you? It could get you banned off the old stream. And then I wanted to put mental health. See what their opinion was on that. I mean, Google, it'll tell me, won't it? Shakespeare in the 4 Humours. See, I know it's about Shakespeare's time. National Library of Medicine. Why Shakespeare? National Library of Medicine. Wikipedia. Humorism. Temperament. So on Wikipedia, or we'll do that one. Temperament. Or the national. Anyway, look. In psychology, temperament refers to. Well, no, that's temperament in general. That's not. 4 temperaments model. Historically. Oh, here we are. Galen. Okay. Galen. Galen. Describe the 4 classical temperaments. Oh, gosh. So it's not just that you've got 4 essential fluids now. It's not just 4 essential fluids. It's 4 classical temperaments as well. So it's all about 4s. And look, you've got 4 different shaped heads there, which represent the different mental states. Okay? What we're trying to figure out here is we're trying to figure out what it would have been like to this to be your diagnosis and for this to be your treatment. That's what we're going to, you know, be looking at. So, corresponds to the 4 humours. Oh, they correspond. So, I guess. Okay, here we go. Melancholic, phlegmatic, sanguine, and choleric. So yeah, melancholic. I don't know why that. We now talk about melancholy. I don't mean melancholy. Being melancholic means feeling down. Phlegmatic, full of phlegm. We don't. That's not a mental one. That obviously connects to phlegm. Then there was black bile and bile, wasn't there? So sanguine. I have to look that up. Copy. It's going to just say something like poorly, isn't it? Sanguine. Like yellowing and jaundice. Something like that. Sanguine. Optimistical positive. Alright. What? It's breaking my brain a little bit. A blood red colour. Maybe they're referring to the blood red colour of black bile. I don't know. So an optimistic mood though. Sanguine. Oh, I didn't realise that was a positive word. Sanguine. Sanguine. Sanguine, it says there in the pronunciation, so have it right. Sanguine. You thought it was something to do with blood, so that might be the blood one. Because you've got 4 temperaments, but you've got 4 humours, right? So the 4 humours, the 4 body fluids, they're blood, yellow bile, black bile and phlegm. And they connect up to melancholia, phlegmatic, sanguine and choleric. I think choleric's to do with the blood as well, isn't it, though? Learning things as we go. It's just fine to just be learning things. bad-tempered or irritable. In a medieval medicine, having a cholera as the predominant bodily humour. A choleric, that is. Crouchy, good. A choleric disposition. I thought it was to do with blood. Okay, it's not. It's to do with one of the others. So, sanguine is optimistic. Choleric is bad-tempered. Now, imagine this. Imagine back in the day, and this went on. Like, this is from the Romans, right? Bear in mind, this was the Romans. They said this is how it works. And they've took... how is it that you've got Hippocrates and his... I suppose there were people pushing that one. And there were other people pushing other ideas. And there were all sorts of different ideas being pushed, I guess, throughout history. So I guess that it was a bit of a mishmash. But it feels like they missed the trick, didn't they, of following... Because Hippocrates was onto the right sort of thing. And then this Roman... has superseded them, and everyone's gone with this, but it's gone all the way. It's from the 2nd century AD, and it's gone all the way through to like Shakespearean time, which would have been 1400s, 1500s. You've got like 1,500 years of this just being so. You know, I'm not talking when you talk about the olden days. You could be talking about anywhere from Rome to. I'm sure that other cultures, I keep saying this and I should do, I'm sure that other cultures, like, you know, Asian cultures, Arabic cultures, the original people of Australia, I'm sure they had their own ideas about things as well, which were going on that were completely contrary to this four humors thing. That the four humors thing was the main Western, like, socially dominant idea because of empires from the UK, United Kingdom, Great Britain, and other empire-building nations of the West. I mean, I'm sure that was the case, but we're just looking at it from this point of view. If you were to be born in 1200, got that right? 1200, yeah. If you were to be born in 1200 AD. AD. Some little images. Let's see what. Let's hope no pornography ever happened. Oh, it's just the pictures. Oh, look, they are running around on horses. That was about that time. Okay. You know, if you were one of these sort of chuffers with your knights and your shields, that sort of chuffing, would have been quite different than if you were the Arabic cultures. They were, you know, riding out to go and attack. But you know, anywhere from then to up to Shakespeare time, from your Game of Thrones till Shakespeare time. Game of Thrones isn't a real historical. That wasn't a real. I was just joking there. But if you know, throughout the ages, you feel bad. You've got naturally what we would understand now to be maybe is chemical imbalance that can be helped with certain combination of medical treatments. Helps balance that. Maybe something that you need to talk through. Maybe the right kind of therapy. Cognitive behavioural therapy is very good for a lot of anxiety problems. Maybe those sort of things. They're not on offer because they don't even like they've got choleric. They've got these. You've got like you're too choleric. You've got too much black bile in your system. You're too choleric. So I don't know what the treatments to this model would have been. Nine temperaments now. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, that research on this theme, that in later years, you know, in the 50s and so on, they were able to do actual experiments and research this theme and find out what was worth keeping from it. And it became certain, you know, aspects of psychology that we would recognise: adaptability, distractibility, temperament. You know, they formed some more usable ideas from it, didn't they, in the long run? But the way they would have fixed you, I want to know now how you would fix. I'm not. It's going to be hard for me to know, isn't it? It's going to be a big dig to find out what they would have done in the past. I know what they would have done. I know there's some of it in the history of mental health over here. So in 1400, Before 1400, Bethlehem was a religious institution focusing primarily on collecting and distributing alms. By the 14th century, 1300, the main beneficiaries, apart from the hospital and its staff, were probably poor people who lived locally rather than the Order of Bethlehem. As the social and political changes of the mid-14th century onwards made alms collecting more difficult, the hospital started to concentrate ever more. I've got to read it properly because it's for the edit. The hospital started to concentrate ever more on the care of the sick, and in particular, the care of the mad. So, 1400, they would have at least, not everyone, of course. The first in our recorded Western history of medicine and madness, the first recorded concept of a place to at least send people, a hospital that would receive them, this place, Bethlehem. It later went on to be called Bedlam, but that was there in the 1400s. So we at least have that. What they would have done to you there, the concepts of aren't written here. I'm going to have to do some more research for next week, maybe. I think one of the problems with the research that we're going to have to do is that some of the things they would have done would have been quite brutal. And certainly as we get into the later stages of learning about the history of mental health, we do get to some quite brutal practices that we can talk about on stream, but I can't be too brutal about because we've got, terms of service and all that. But yeah, we've got 12,000 AD onwards. We've got finally up to 1300. It took a long time, and all the way up until that time, they were talking about your different balances of your different essential fluids. So they would have treated you with some kind of kook medicine that wouldn't have helped. Wouldn't have helped at all. They wouldn't have even treated it. Okay, let's think about that, because that's kind of bang on as well, isn't it? They wouldn't have even treated it like a mental health issue. They wouldn't have treated it like that. They would have treated it like a physical ailment, that there was some kind of physical imbalance in your body. Now that's almost congruent with some modern day thinking about it, because you can have chemical imbalances in your system. Quite simple things that with antidepressants, sometimes the approach is to slightly tinker with that chemical balance, to add a little bit of this or stop a bit of that getting through and see if that helps. Sometimes it's trial and error, so you can actually you go to the doctor and say, maybe I should try this. They give you that and you try it. Oh, it's not so good. Didn't like that. Doesn't mean that all antidepressants are all bad and that you might not find the right one for you. But yeah, you feel invariably set back then. Leeches. Leeches and other things of the ilk would have been used to drain or add, maybe, certain balances of bile and blood, and you'd have been sent on your way. So no provision at all for nowadays as well, we know there's such a wide range, don't we, of different... We've looked at a few on Mental Health Monday on the old channel that you can review. It's worth doing. It's worth watching those videos. All of them. Twice. If you watch one of our videos on Ganjikidd or Mental Health Monday or Ganjikidd or whatever, make sure you watch all the way to the end, because YouTube doesn't want people just watching 5 minutes and clicking off. Thinks that's not a very good video. Make sure you watch it all the way to the end. Probably want to watch all of them, all of the videos. Look, anyway, there is a wide spectrum of mental health struggles that people have for a wide spectrum of reasons. And back then, none of it would have been taken into account. And none of it, because that wide spectrum would have been treatable in a wide different, wide optional different ways. None of it. It's a bit of a shame, isn't it? None of it would have been caught in any sort of net, really, if you're just going to be draining people of fluids or improving their choleric temperament. Wow. But at least they started to put people in a particular place, put them all together in a... I imagine the people that ran the Bethlehem Hospital, the Sisters of the St. Mary of Bethlehem Order, would have probably been quite compassionate, I hope. Even if they didn't have a real solid grasp of the nature of these problems. What a training concept. Could you imagine that as well if that was your job? If you were an apprentice, apprentice to the master of leeches. And your job, you either breed them. I don't know what the system would have been. We could find out, but I'm not going to because I can't be bothered this week. But on another week, I'll find out how they acquired their leeches, whether they went to swampland and caught them, or whether they bred them themselves. They probably bred them themselves because they probably kept them quite fat, full of blood, didn't they? Because they were feeding them up, weren't they, in the process of using them? So probably had some quite, well-fed, well-bred leeches. You're the apprentice, though. You've got to gather the leeches. We're off on another job. Need 5 hungry leeches. Make sure you've got 5 hungry leeches in each box for each client. And when they cut, you get them off. You get them off. I'll stick them on where they need to be. I'm the main one. I'm the master of leeches. I know where they've got to go. Stick with me, son. Stick with me. 5, 6, son. Miss. Person of non-denominative gender. Just you stick. Son is a word that I'm going to use more often because, or have been using or thinking about more often, because my great uncle and grandfather, they used to call each other son. But yeah, you'd be you stick with me. I'll train you up on where the leeches need to go, because you would be surprised about where you can get a leech, where you can fix one. You'd be surprised, and I'll teach you all that. Teach you the ins and outs of the business. It's not just about sticking them on. You need to know where to stick them on. You need to know why you're sticking them on and for what reason. We've got a big book of ailments and different places that we stick the leeches depending on the ailment. You'd be surprised about how many of them are in the nether regions. If you've got to stick a leech on, you want it to be getting a good slug of blood, don't you? On a nether region, really, probably. Nether regions gives you an opportunity. You probably wouldn't. If you're a master of leeches, you probably wouldn't be messing with people's nether regions. Not back in them days. Not if they didn't have any medical science whatsoever. They wouldn't have kept them clean, would they? And they wouldn't have known. And there would be all sorts of horrors you would discover. So master of leeches, probably keep them on the head and neck. But yeah, you'd make it up as you went along, wouldn't you? You'd refer to the medical science, which wouldn't be any sort of science whatsoever. So you wouldn't be getting any sort of feedback from your patients. Some of them would live, some of them would die. Most of the things wouldn't clear up on their own, or with the leeches. In terms of mental health, none of your patients would get better, only by chance, only through good fortune, or maybe they find someone else in their life that introduces them to something that helps them. But you as the master of leeches would have patients that would you'd be failing. Why would they keep coming to you? Why would people keep going to the master of leeches if all they get is drained? You'd probably feel worse after being drained by a leech, wouldn't you? So you're the apprentice anyway, and your boss is a bit, I don't know, you can't find much logic or order in any of the work. And one of the things you've got to make sure you do, because these people who are paying for this, they've got money to pay for leeches, bear in mind. There was no NHS back then. Like, the government's not, it's not accident and emergency, turn up and, wait around with your little thing on your head and your bag of icy peas, and then when it's your turn, you go in and they stick on a leech. It's not that. It's posh people with the money. They've got the money, and you go and I know what'll fix this, leeches. Really? Surprised, because leeches was what you recommended for my bad foot. You recommended leeches, and now you're recommending leeches for me bad eye. Why is it the same? Leeches for everything, really, in this game. Leeches for this game. Master of leeches would put something. You have to feel worse. Yeah, I imagine half of the job would be to say, because it's a weird one as well, isn't it? Because if you're going to try and sell the concept to people, well, they'd believe it anyway. They'd already believe it. It'd be the known science, wouldn't it, or something? But if you're going to have to try and sell the concept, your average leech salesman, master of leeches, they're going to have a tougher job than if the advice is go to bed and eat a lot of cake, aren't they? I didn't make a cake this weekend. Didn't feel like it, but I should have done, because now I feel like eating it. If I was Dr. Cake back in Elizabethan days, and I could promise you that get better if you eat a bit of cake. And the people would say, don't be silly, it's leeches, you can't be eating cake. And I'd say, how many people have got better from the old leeches? And they'd say, how many people get better from your cake? And I'd say, about the same as get better from the leeches. Would you rather? Would you rather Scotty Hottie's magic cake, or would you rather... I'd be taking business off the leech master, wouldn't I? You as the apprentice, you'd be thinking, I'm in the wrong game here. I'm in the wrong game. I've got to make sure I find every leech on this bum crack. And, you can't leave a leech on a person draining. You can't leave that. You've got to get... It's your job as the apprentice to get them all off. You've got to get that leech off. That it really wants to stay on there as well. Is that a leech or is that... what am I touching? Yeah, so that's your job. But Dr. Cake over there... I'm Dr. Cake and you're the leech. Poor you. You're the leech. You're not even the leech master. You're the leech minion. You're the trainee apprentice to the leech master. Got to do all the leech master's bidding. Got to make sure the leech master's had his dinner cooked. And what we're having for today, black pudding again. No, the very thin little dainty black puddings. The like party size, cocktail sausages. Now there's a thing, isn't it? Black pudding is a big sausage made of blood. Not nice mental health Monday. We should have done it yesterday for Halloween. Big sausage made of blood. But when you have a party, you have little sausages, normal sausages, which I don't enjoy because I'm vegan. But some people, they're not normally made of like just pure blood. They're normally made of like the fat and the muscles and some of the hair and the bone. Honestly. All in the sausage. That's the normal sausage. For a party, you have that in little, miniature, tiny on a stick. Why don't you have little, mini, tiny black pudding on a stick? It's a kind of sausage. Can have a variety of different... Now I've said it, you can imagine going to Tesco for this Christmas, or an Iceland, or a prawn ring or whatever, or fish out the sea, or with all they're not fish. They're like... What are they? They're like... worm animals with legs and I don't want to eat that. Like there's a guy at work whose name is Cake Bread. Oh yeah, Cake Bread. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? To marry into to be Mr. or Miss Cake Bread. Yeah, that would be nice. And then you could make it a thing to actually specifically take baked goods with you. Because people would expect it, so why let them down? Why not maintain? It's part of the family tradition. So there's me. Oh, nearly felt sad about the fact that a member of our family that's going to carry on that life. That's sort of this aspect of this thing that I'm feeling sad about. This family tradition thing, missing someone now to carry on a certain thing. Anyway, but yeah, cake. I should make more of it. If I was Dr. Cake, then you'd have apprentice after apprentice baking up cakes. You'd be enjoying it. All the cake you could eat. Look at them over there in the leech hut. What a horrible job. They have to live near the swamp. They don't have to really. Just, the dirty river or whatever. I saw the cake hut. The medicinal cake hut. You've got people beating down the door for our cake confectionery cureage. Imagine that. And also, life could have gone like that. Like, how is it that because they were wrong about the leeches. They were wrong about the leeches. And these humours, they were wrong about that. So how is it that got to take over and be the main one when cake didn't? Now, I tell you something. I don't want to get you down. It's Mental Health Monday. I'll cheer you up. But I'm just knocking the... Wasn't there a trial by cake? Oh, I don't know. That sounds interesting. I'll have to look it up for next week so I don't seem ignorant. What I wanted to say, though, is because I've got this thing in my head now. They get these films and these... you watch Joe Rogan, and then when you really want to find something out, you watch Lex Fridman. When you listen to these people talking about these things, and, that fella, he does the physics, and he talks about these big concepts, and they talk about, like, the different universes, multiverses. What if quantum, you could make a decision, there could be two different universes, goes this way and it goes that way, and both exist. What if, and all that. It's been on all the films, you've seen it on all the films, you know what I'm talking about. Like, if you choke to death, you were guilty, and someone actually yeah, like the witch trials where if she floats, then she's a witch. That would be a good system. If you died and you were choking on the cake, and at least it wouldn't be horrible. Depends what they made the cake out of. Depends how guilty they thought you were. It depends who. I wonder if you got a choice of which kind of cake, if you brought your own, or if it's, if they've made a particularly difficult cake to swallow to make your life more. I don't know. But yeah, the infinite reality. So that's what we're saying about, right? So that's that, right? Now, I actually personally think if that was going to be the case, it would only be the big decisions. It wouldn't be whether I had a cup of tea this morning or not. That's too many realities. That's getting out of hand. You know, every little decision I make, we're going to have another reality. No. But whether I decide to go to this school or not, or marry that person or not, or, you know, the big decisions, you know, when you feel it in life where someone says, oh, you know, you're about to go into the good boy lessons, but someone just calls your name from out of the naughty boy streets. Hey, why don't you? You know, I'm saying boy, it's patriarchy. I was referring to my actual life, but, you know, these decisions where you think, oh, this is one of these things where I could be good or naughty. It's one of the, you know, the bigger, but not just for me, because that's just a personal decision. Again, I don't know if infinite realities like that is just possible for me. Maybe it is. Right, we'll get on to this. I actually think if that's, even if just the big decisions, all the little decisions, whatever, we must be way off on the wrong one. Tap the mic. I don't want you to feel down. I don't want you to feel bad. Things can get better. But we're way off on the wrong trouser leg of time. We've gone way off track. It's not like, oh, you know, we beat Hitler in the war, so he must be living in the good one. The other one, Hitler won the war, and that's all bad. It's not that. We had JFK shot. We had Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. They're dead. We had John Lennon. Bad news, dead. So all these big decisions like that, you know, we've had the bad one, haven't we? We've had the bad one. You got these wars and these horrible people and this starvation and the poverty. You know, we're in the bad one. And I think to myself, I'm taking it on the chin so that another version of me somewhere else gets a better life. So I hope they chuff and well enjoy it and appreciate it. But we're not even in the worst one here. We've got computers and we're talking on the internet. There's even worse places in this world, you know. So that's a thought to cheer you up. But if it is like that, knocking things over now, if it is like that with these different diverging worlds, then, you know, maybe we're not in the best. But this is what I'm saying. In the past, that was a bad one, wasn't it? They've gone through the wrong trials. They should have chosen cake, and instead they chose leeches. What a mistake to make. Yeah, you see, in another reality, it could be even worse. That's another way to look at it, isn't it? That's always a good way to cheer yourself up. Yeah, and it could always get worse. They say, oh, it could always get better, but no, it could always get worse, and it's not. So, you know, yeah, I'm trying to make things. I'm being irresponsible about the way I talk here because, you know, Mental Health Monday, but my week has been pretty bad. Could always get worse, yeah, and it will. It will. So how do you think about that? But it will also get better. Everything in waves. Everything in waves. You put up with the good. You know, take it on the chin. You get to a place where you say, hey, you know what? I feel better now because all those leeches were bad. But now I'm eating cake. So I'm going to enjoy the cake when I'm eating it. But yeah, what a concept. How many years did we go through? Hundreds. You know, these days things change. You got physics. What did you think, Einstein? Oh, everyone thinks Einstein's so clever. We grew up being told how clever Einstein was. Well, no, not anymore. We're quite prepared to abandon everything that he thinks because we've got new ideas. Quantum, mate. You know, things move pretty quick. And some things don't. Some things move pretty slow. We don't have those scanners. Like at the airport, they can scan to see if I've got a knife up my bum. But if you wanted to scan to see if I've got, I don't know, some sort of tumour or something, you're going to have to go on a queue for that. You have to go to the doctors. They're going to have to put you on a list. Probably can't get that done right now because of the old COVID. You know, and I was just a scanner at the doctors where when I walk in, you just scan me and then you've already got a full readout when I go and sit down. You're going to prod me and poke me and stick me with things to try and find things out. I thought it'd be beyond that, mate. When I was a kid, you were prodding and poking people, and I saw the way the cars developed and I saw the way the computers developed. And now you've got a more expensive and interesting prodder. But if I want to get on the machine, I'm going to have to wait in a queue. Like, why are we not all just... I thought we'd be scanning people at the shops, mate. Health. People's health. I thought when I was a kid, I saw all these things on the telly where they were like, oh, when you're older, you just be... When in the future, you just be having these little tablets with nutrients. Little nutrient tablets like vitamins. Get all your nutrients, all your food. We've got that sort of thing. Science has worked out what's good for food, what's good to eat, what's not good to eat, what's going to potentially kill you. You know, potentially it'll kill you. Heart disease, fats, but it's not like we've fixed that. It's not like people are just like, oh, well, okay, give me the tablets, give me the hard tack with the nutrients. Let's make the nutrients food nice and tasty. We've got that. I eat it. It's vegan quite often. Quite often it's vegan. More often than not. In fact, pretty much all the time. But no, people are still chopping down on the processed, the sausages or whatever, aren't they? Still doing the damage. I mean, that's okay, they can choose it. We're lucky that we have nice things to eat and it tastes nice. Not so good for the pig, whatever. It's your choice. It's not the choice of the pig. But this isn't a vegan stream. What I'm trying to say is I thought it'd be further on. But now I'm seeing how long it took. It wasn't just 100 years. Imagine 100 years from now, you'd think they'd have the scanners, wouldn't you? You'd think they'd have worked. It wouldn't be firing it up into space on Elon Musk's rocket. I think we're getting everyone a scan, 3 or 4 times a year, basic, just to scan. Not even like a, this is fixing it. Just to scan, just basic, 3 or 4 times a year. Everyone, why not? Why? Oh, it's expensive. Oh, it's a big machine, and you have to go in the hospital. Oh, I see. I get that. I mean, everything starts out as a big machine until you make it easily accessible. If you can sell it as a little product, make a bit of money on it, yeah. If it's just something that people need and would be good for them, I guess that's where society's got to step in. I don't know. But yeah, this is the world, isn't it? So we're not got scanners, and it did take a long time, and it took 1,300 years. Yeah, these days it's got worse. This is okay. I'm not going to make you feel down on Mental Health Monday. I'm just going to say this quickly, then I'm going to talk about the thing, and then whatever. But I thought as well that the whole point was we get together as we're modern society. We've got the tools, we've got the know-how, we've got the science. We're modern society now. We're not leeches and rubbish. We're modern. We know the trick. We can fire rockets into space if we want to. We're modern society now. We've got the internet, everything. So I thought when we got to that, we'd use it so that food was cheaper. We've got 3D printing. Why on earth should anyone pay exorbitant prices for goods? We've got 3D printing. We could print things out for people for very low prices. Why isn't there one of those in every city, in every home, in like a microwave? Press goods, come cheap. Why aren't we sorting out cheap medicine and cheap food for everyone? I thought that was the way. If we went on a desert island and we're 3 of us washed up on the desert island, I'm not going to deny you the coconuts until you find a way of paying me for them because I got hold of the tree. That's not going to happen. We're just going to share them. And at first, we're just going to have coconuts. Then we're going to be like, hang on, we're going to have to do better than this. We're going to put our energy together. We're going to pool our resources. And whatever benefits, if one of us can build a hut, one of us can go out foraging for fruits. I am vegan, so I'm not going to suggest we fish. But you know what I mean? We pull those things together and say, look, what we've done together as a group, as a society, to make sure that we're all fed and warm. And, one of us has made a fire, the other one's foraged for fruits, and the other one's fixed up. We'll share that. We'll share. Nowadays, we don't do that. We don't even move towards it. We're moving away from it. It's weird, isn't it? And what we're getting, the things that we're really pushing towards, market forces drive things in funny ways, don't they? In funny ways. But we haven't pushed towards what we should have pushed towards as a goal, as a society. Obviously, climate change has now stepped in and put the kibosh on industrialism. But, we didn't, even with industrialism, we used it to increase poverty and certainly wealth, but in strange areas. It took us 1,300 years to set up a hospital for mad people. Mad, we used to call them. Mad. That actually does blow my mind. It blows my mind. So no wonder it's going to take us a bit longer to really get to this social... what I'm talking about, this utopia, this utopic vision. Why does it have to be such why does it have to be such a struggle? Why does it have to be such a struggle? Beautiful people like Greta Thunberg, young person who just sees it as it is, can just call it as it is, and oh, she's a little cute. Oh, no, put her on the telly. Oh, isn't it a bit of fun? They don't really listen, do they? They don't really. But it seems obvious to me. Why can't we just sort these things? I'd rather our society was aimed at, making people's lives better, making people more comfortable in their lives, giving them more opportunities. Yeah. But it's taken, like I said, it took 1,300 years to set up a hospital for people with mental health. So I expect in 1,000 years' time we might be getting somewhere. Certainly this government. Anyway, I'm not here to complain and make you feel down. I'm here to say this is a positive. Tell you what a positive thing is that these days they can't stop the message. excuse me. Excuse me, I haven't eaten anything today. I know it sounds silly. I've eaten this Nature Valley crunchy biscuit. I've had half of that. But actually, in real, honest truth, it's 9:40 in the evening, and I haven't eaten anything yet, other than that bit of biscuit. So I'm going to have to get off it in a bit and go and eat my dinner, or at least try. But, yeah, and I thought that we'd be pushing towards a better society, and we are. You see, this is what I was going to say, is that I actually believe this, and this is a positive thing to finish on, to think about, is that they can't stop the message. The ideas, it is a bit of a shame that there are some bad ideas, and some confused people get really confused, and there are some really bad ideas out there, I get that. But the ideas that are at core, that are obvious, that are, you know, really... all you've eaten today is a few almonds. Yeah, see, you know, we know what the score is, but please do try and eat something. Please do. I know how it feels to not want to, or to not feel that you should. I'm not going to say it's an eating disorder, but we did an episode on eating disorders, and it can get dangerously close. You get into bad habits. They don't even feel like they're bad habits; they just are how it is. But sometimes it can feel like the worst ones, the worst meals, where you don't even enjoy the meals, but you feel like you just have to put fuel in because theoretically, you know, humans need eat. But you know, if you're gonna, if it's one of them, then even if it's just some rice and some, I used to, as a student, I shamedly used to just sometimes cook gravy and pasta and a few frozen peas and just like shovel it in. But you know, at least do the fueling, because we know you're supposed to. Even if you don't eat all of it or whatever, you know, at least have a crack. Because we know you're good, supposed to. And my proper advice is that we should all be trying to eat 3 square meals a day. It's just how it is, though, isn't it? It's just how it is. Look, it took this long to get this far. I've forgotten what I was really saying. I was going to finish on something good. Yes. The concepts, the good ideas, the concepts, you unintentionally fast. Yeah, I kind of do the same thing as well, yeah. But yeah, nutritional, yeah, that's it. Just because we know it these days. This is the beauty of what we know these days. That's a good example of it. In the past, in 1500, 1400, 1200, they could have argued about it. Or maybe you don't need to eat foods all day. Maybe you don't need to eat foods. Maybe it's better if you don't. Nowadays, we know. We can't. There's the internet. You can look it up. You can find it out. The word is out. So whether you believe this or you think that, you look it up, you figure it out a bit. We all kind of know that the bottom line is you do need to eat foods, certain kinds, to be healthy. It's just, you know, it's there. We know it. And the same sort of thing happens now. Not just like mental health's another example, but I'm not focusing this point that I'm trying to make that's going to make you feel good on mental health specifically. But we now know how to treat mental health in different ways, much better than leeches. And the word is out, and they can't deny it. They can underfund it. They can fail to act on it. But when we, the people, with the access to the information, the internet these days, they didn't always let you do that. You know, if you weren't educated, if your parents weren't rich and you weren't from the right class, then you wouldn't get educated. You wouldn't learn to read the Latin and be in the church and whatever knowledge there was held back, was held away from people. You can't do that these days. You can't do that. The only thing that they can stop you, you know, there is a certain, you know, I'm saying that the internet's not available in the Amazon rainforest, is it? The internet's not available in every impoverished community, whether it be the UK or Africa or anywhere. I get that, but you know, we're close, and to the majority, the information is out. They can't stop the general concepts being out there. So in the long run, in the future, this has got to accelerate that positive change. Because imagine if in 1346 they were suddenly had access to the internet, they wouldn't have carried on for another 500 years of, you know, messing about with all these funny ideas. They'd have gone straight in. Okay, this is you can't argue with it now. Can't argue with it now. It's there. It's out there. The truth is out there. And one context, the climate change, you know, it becomes undeniable at some point, doesn't it? It becomes undeniable. So I hope that in the future, when we get these 3D printers and everyone in our Western homes has the access to certain aspects of life, it becomes undeniable that everyone should have certain benefits from the advances in society. It will become undeniable, won't it? Yeah. So don't worry. Might take 100 years, but we're part of that change. We're living in one of the most amazing times that we could, aren't we? You know, you could have your skull bashed in way back. Then we got leeches. We're not happy with that. Bedlam, earliest surviving map of London, 1559. That's where we'll finally get up to for next week, I think. I just briefly chuffed over a load of years, but there's a book here by Paracelsus, so we'll talk about that. Not spirits, but natural diseases. The ideas are starting to float around by the time it gets to 1500s. And we'll go from there next week, but yeah, interesting stuff this week. I'm not going to... Here's the thing. I wanted to do something. I was like, you know, I make media, and when someone dies, you sort of put RIP so-and-so at the end of your piece of media. I feel like I kind of wanted to do something for Taylor, but this isn't it. Last week's streams were certainly not going to be it. And I'm not going to edit, you know, RIP. I'm going to edit off the bit about my personal tragedy, our family's personal tragedy for Mental Health Monday. I'm not going to make a big thing of it for the streams. This, you know, if I were to do something for his memory, in his memory, just stamping it on my regular product is not what I'm doing. So maybe I will in the future try and come up with something. I don't know. It feels like I know. I'll talk a little bit about the personal tragedy a little bit more. I know that his mom, his sister, you know, this is not the end of we're not going to do a funeral and then they're going to be like, oh, I'll get over that, and then I'm done getting over that. It's going to be a lifetime now for them of tragedy, of, you know, this for me, for my family, for anyone. For all of us, we all have these things. So this is truth, isn't it? But you know, when your sister gets married one day, or you know, hopefully has a child one day or whatever, they're always going to think how they miss him, aren't they? You know, always going to think, what would it have been like if he'd have got to his 20th, 21st, 30th birthday, you know, 70th birthday. They're going to miss him. And in the same way as I missed my 70, 80-year-old, 90-year-old uncle, great uncle, you know, I saw him as an old man and knew he was a beautiful person and missed him when he died. I now feel that we are all, like, as a family now, not just his sister and his mum, but all of us, and all of us in the world, not just about this, but in other ways. We always, like you say, looking at the space where they should have been, not everyone must have this same, because I've been thinking about this week as well, about how there is tragedy after tragedy every day. You know, we talked last week or the week before about how that MP got stabbed, and how my response was, well, young kids get stabbed every day and we don't care about them. Why do we all care about this MP? A bit of a funny response from me there. A bit angry in ways. People can get angry. You know, my dad finds his... I'll just say this. My dad can't deal with his feelings very well, so he gets angry. So he's been angry this week a bit. There is some portion of blame. You know, someone knocked Taylor off his motorbike. There are people to be angry at if you want to be. I'm not. I feel sad about it, not angry at people, but even though, you know, they made a mistake. But yeah, in terms of family tragedy, this concept, I was saying, yeah, so John was 70 when I knew him, and Taylor was his great-grandson. So the potential for him to have lived a beautiful life just like his grandfather was all there, wasn't it? And so that's something that is now absent. Is you know, it's... I didn't get to see John's most beautiful years because he was already an old man when I was a kid. but he was a beautiful person, of course, you know. But imagine the joy of, you know, the younger years, the growth years, whatever. And that's what we're going to miss with Taylor now, isn't it? That's something that we're all going to miss. So yeah, that's another reason to feel sad. So I wasn't trying to finish it on a sad note. I was trying to say the undeniable message. That was what I was saying, is that there are things that we going to sort out together as a society, and that's why I was going to say this, is because it feels like when someone young like Taylor dies, it feels like there is this like momentum that should carry on. Quite often, if they were involved in something in their life, be it a charity or a pursuit, you know, somebody might set up a fund or a foundation or a thing, you know, they might do a thing for them. I'm sure his friends, not just for a funeral, but, you know, ongoing, will want to get together and do something. I'm sure we all feel a little bit like that at some point. But certainly that's what I was saying. Certainly my streams are not that. And so I'm not going to put, I'm not going to make it about that here. And I'll talk about it again, maybe just as I feel like it. And there's going to be ongoing things, like we haven't even had the funeral yet, so there's going to be ongoing difficulties. But Mental Health Monday is for everyone's mental health, including my own. But it's not my mental health. Like it's not a show about my mental health week in, week out. It's not my vlog about me. And so I'm not going to make it about that. So I don't know. What I'm trying to say is I feel like I should do something in his honour, but this is not it, and I'm not going to turn this into it. You know, he was never... It's not like I can even... I'm not going to pretend to try and shoot, oh, he always loved this, so I'm going to do this. And I don't... You know, I'm not there to speak on those terms. Someone else is going to speak on those terms about what they feel should be done in his honour. So I'm going to let them lead that conversation and then just try and support them as best I can. This week's been difficult, and I haven't even got into that. How should I say it? You know, I haven't spent time with his grieving mother and his grieving sister. You know, in a personal one-to-one extended setting. That's what I'm going to say. And I feel like I should, and I will, but certainly not this week. Is not the week to be imposing myself. No, imposing myself is the wrong word. I know that, like, for us, it's like a 40-minute drive. We do it as a family usually, and like it's not. You know, how do I put this? Like, I absolutely want them to know that we're there for them and to provide. Like, they've got their own close family unit. You know, grandmother, mother, sister, stepdad, like all dealing with this personal tragedy. We're in communication with them, but I don't, you know, maybe next week I'll go around, you know, maybe next week and spend some physical time there. But it's a funny thing, family, isn't it? You know, I don't quite know where the border's drawn. Anyway, I kind of, what I'm trying to say there is I kind of feel like I should be there now, but obviously I don't need to be there now. Like, yeah, there's nothing like that I can physically do or can be done. So, and they're close, you know, because I'm like a second cousin. Like, if everyone that was equally as related to them as I am all were sitting with them every day, there'd be like 60 of us, and it gets a bit, you know, there's a time for us to visit, and when that time opens up, I'm going to be there, of course. And it's also, it's hard to, I'm going to finish talking about this in just a second, but it's also hard because it's connected through, it's my dad's side of the family, and my dad is difficult, and he finds it difficult to express himself and to process his emotions. So, like, he'd like me to go to the crash site tomorrow. You know, I think tomorrow or the day. But I said, like, you know, I don't know how important it is to me to actually go to the side of the road. But I certainly would rather spend some time with, you know, the family. So whatever he feels, I have to sort of go through that process as well. Yeah. So So that's what's happening. That's what's happened. I'm not going to make my stream about it. I've talked about it a bit now at the start and end of this stream. And next thing on stream is normal service being resumed, which is more fun, more normal streaming. Mental Health Monday next week, 8 PM GMT, an hour different from how it was for the rest of the world because of the England changing the clocks. I've got games to play. I've got things to talk about. I've got a belated Halloween episode to do. Probably do a really dark, dour, death-based Halloween episode at Christmas time. A bit of an interactive game show one. Got some ASMR to make, which has been backburnered for a bit, but it's all everything. I've got loads of stuff to do, so I've got to get back on doing it. And that's what's happening this week. More on stream. I'm going to try and do the YouTube stream. I'm not going to announce that I'm streaming on YouTube until it works, but I'm going to try and practice streaming on YouTube a couple of times this week. And being here, running the stream, providing some entertainment. So that's the last I'm going to talk about, my personal family's tragedies, unless we do a full proper talk about it in future, maybe after the funeral or something, because I might feel about talking about it then. But otherwise, I'm not going to be, this is going to try and be, I'm going to try and make it entertaining. I'm going to try and put a smile on my face. I'm going to try and make it entertaining. So you be good, my little puckos. Everything will be good, long term, long term. And there was some spiritualism as well, which I'm not going to bring up, but my great uncle, beautiful man that he was very connected to the church. He was he went to church and he was very charitable with his time. So when he died, and it just blew my mind actually, when my great uncle John died, when he died, we went to the church for his funeral, but people couldn't get in. Obviously his family had to be there, but then you had everyone from the church that wanted to be there as well. And I mean everyone. And it was there were lots of people trying to pay their respects, and it showed me something I didn't know before. I knew he was involved in the church and was charitable with his time, and I knew he was a benevolent and beautiful person because I felt that when I was with him. But I didn't know how many people cared, And in terms of spirituality and this, a funny thing happened the day that Taylor died. I didn't know that Taylor had died, but I kind of felt the presence of my great uncle. I heard his voice. But I'm not here to turn Mental Health Monday into I think spirituality can be helpful and can be interesting, but I'm not going to be here talking about I believe in ghosts or I believe in funny. It's not mentally healthy, in my opinion, to go down that road at this sort of time. It can be deeply spiritually sustaining in a way. I don't know what it is, but another time we can have those sort of conversations in a different context. I think that's the best way to say that. And another way to point this out is that you never know you can feel things, spiritual things. I'm not going to say like a particular religion or a particular thing, it's just spiritual things. You can feel them and they're important when you're grieving or when something like this happens. But you're never going to get the answers. You're never going to get a sewn on, nailed on, this is what happens when people die, and so this is why you should feel good or whatever about it. You're never going to get that. So you take what you need to from life that means something to you in life. And, if I were to say I felt like as I was falling asleep, I heard my great uncle's voice. Okay, yeah, sometimes I do. Sometimes I dream about relatives and people from the past. I don't know, it might have been coincidence that I thought about him on the same night as his great-grandson died. It might have been coincidence. I could go into more context about the things that make it an even more weird coincidence or whatever, but I'm not here to make people distressed by worrying about things that you can't get a grasp of. What's better for mental health, what's certainly better for mental health, is to get a grasp on the things you can, the realities, be mindful, enjoy the moments in life, because whatever happens next, I'm not going to get deep now at the end, but whatever happens next after you die, we'll find out. But you can almost guarantee that we're not going to find out now. So it's best to wring every smile out of life, to taste every raindrop, because one day you won't get the opportunity anymore. And we're sad about that. We're sad about that when it ends. So, that's the point, isn't it? And not to let spirituality can be great. It can be a guide. It can be a solace. It can make you feel that people aren't entirely gone in some way. But if you were to completely, abandon all grounded knowledge, abandon all harsh realities, and just live in that spiritual side of the world, and then we could end up in the world of leeches again, couldn't we, and stuff. So it's okay to have beliefs, but to know that we can never quite nail things down, and therefore as humans, the human condition, part of it is to suffer with some of these unknowns, to have faith, and then to put all those things aside, because to be a human and to get on each day involves eating some food even if you don't feel like it, involves getting up and facing the day. And if we lose ourselves in our spiritual side, in our musings and ideas, because you can never find the answer, you can never have it nailed on, then it can prevent you from getting on in the real human nuts and bolts day-to-day way that, spiritual or not, we have to do. We have to do. So Tim Burton was really on something for Christmas. People like it. In our family, we're going to have a future tradition of dark Christmases, because I thought of a joke, because I'm like, I think of jokes. I thought of a joke that I could do, which I'm never going to do, am I? It's not going to be a funny joke. But what I want is, because I've been speaking to family members this week, and they've been saying about things that are sad. You get that principle, don't you? And the back in my mind, it's screaming to tell this joke. It's just a one-liner. I can't tell it to anyone. I'll tell it to you now. They're saying, oh, this is sad. These sad things are happening. These arrangements are happening. This new news is coming out about the accident or whatever. These things. Taylor was in no way at fault. He was stationary on his bike. Someone else hit him. It was sad. So these news things, we're talking on the phone, and I keep wanting to say, are we having a family get together at Christmas? What's the family doing for Christmas? That's the sort of question you would normally ask your family members around this sort of time. But it's inappropriate now, isn't it? And that's the joke. It's funny because it's inappropriate. But we're going to have a dark family Christmas. Certain aspects of our Christmas this year, for certain parts of our family, are going to be quite difficult. It's the first year we're going to have a Christmas without my nan, who died last year on Boxing Day. And my mom nearly died on Christmas a few years ago. So I feel like our personal family situation, I'm nodding over there, the family, over there in the other rooms, when they are here in the other rooms for Christmas, will be a little bit subdued this year. And maybe, I said to my mum the other day, I said, as long as no one tries to die this Christmas, I'm happy with that. And then a member of our family did die, so, even that didn't come off so funny, but yeah, it's the little things, isn't it, in life? It's the little things that you appreciate, like nobody being in hospital or dead this Christmas. That would be enough. So we might not get it's hard to get festive and get up for it and get like all festive when you've had like several years on a row of some sort of disaster. But we'll try. Look, you be good, my little Pukosh, you be good. I've been here now. I've put the hours in, even though they're the wrong hours. in the America, because a lot of our friends on the podcast, the Ganjikidd Warrior stream, whatever you call it, a lot of our friends are in America and expect to see me at 8 p.m. GMT, and they'd have turned up. I wouldn't have been there. They would have known that we changed the clocks in the UK, because it gets dark and light in different times of the year. We just change the clocks. We just put an hour on here and there just to confuse people. We do that. So nobody turned up this week. No one knew. It was a secret. But we're back next week again, 8 p.m. GMT, and I hope they cotton on, because I've got no way of telling them. They'll look it up, won't they? They'll realise that the time is different in the UK, or maybe it will take a few months, and then when it gets back to summer, they'll appear again. By then, they'll think what's been going on. They'll work it out. So you be good, my little Pukos, and if you can't be good, I'm going to come round in the night and change the time on your clock.